Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Brighter Together podcast. My name is Janet Courtney, and my guest today is Suzanne Kramer. And Suzanne is the Exceptional Student Education Building and Department Lead at Biltmore Elementary, which is a part of Duval County Schools, which is the biggest district in Jacksonville, or in Florida, and it is located in Jacksonville, Florida. So, Suzanne, thank you so much for being here today.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy that you reached out.
Awesome. So, I would love for you to tell everybody a little bit about your role and about what's going on at Biltmore Elementary.
Okay. Well, my role as ESE lead, I oversee just about everything. It's kind of like a jack of all trades. I kind of help oversee everything, facilitate best practices here, support our teachers, whatever the students need, pretty much, I kind of help to make happen. We have ESE is what we call special education here in Florida. And here at Biltmore, we have a very large population. Just over 48% of our student body here has some type of identified need. We have pre-K through fifth grade students here, and we have the gamut from students who are in full inclusion to students who are in self-contained classrooms. We have just about every identified disability that you can think of, we have it here.
And why so high? I'm curious about that. Is it so that, are you concentrating your efforts so because the district's so big that the kids come to this particular school to get services, or is that just the need where you are? I'm curious.
A little bit of both.
Okay.
Yes, we do consolidate here within our district because we are such a large area geographically. Duval is a very, very big county. So if we have, and you may have, the local school may have one student who may have a very particular type of need. Mm-hmm. Fiscally and logistically, it may not make sense to service that student there and bring all of the equipment or whatever their needs may be there. So there are certain areas or certain cases where we do consolidate within a special school. The school that would be closest to that student's home or whatever the case may be.
Right. That makes sense. Yeah. You're taking your resources and using them smarter, not harder. Right.
We try. Everybody needs more resources these days, for sure.
That's a common theme. Anytime I talk to educators, there's never enough money. There never is.
Never enough money, never enough time.
No. Time and money. Yeah, that sounds really familiar for sure. So you have 48%. What are some of the programs that you guys use that would be? Are there particular programs that you feel like really proud of that you guys do, or?
I'm proud of everything we do here. This is my first year here within the building. Our principal is new here as well, as is our assistant principal, and we've had a lot of new staff coming in. So we have worked really hard to put together a really great team here, and I'm really excited. And that is challenging in education to begin with right now because there is such a shortage everywhere. And we are not immune to that by any stretch. We started the year with 3 vacancies here within our ESE department. We have currently filled them all over the course of the year.
Fantastic.
And we have some phenomenal staff here. So it's been very exciting, and I'm really actually very excited to return next year with our staff because we have a lot of plans in place, and I'm just very excited.
Right, and that's good. It's so nice when you can be fully staffed and know that you've done the hard work to get there. Do you have any secrets that you can give others that are understaffed? What did you do to be able to get those extra people? Was there a magic wand?
I wish. If I had a magic wand, there'd be a lot more resources here. No, our principal, Miss Williams, she's just very diligent. She's a go-getter. And it's just beating the bushes and reaching out. And I will say one of the things that Miss Williams is very, very diligent, passionate, whatever you may choose to call it. She's very much a believer in you need to have the right people for the job, not just about bodies. So she is very meticulous about screening, talking to people. And when she interviews, we interview as a building team here, and everybody is participating. Everybody is asking the questions. And because we have a very large GSE population, asking very questions about experience and attitudes is also very important.
Yeah, you definitely have to have the right people for sure. Not just the mirror test. Are they breathing? Fill the seat, right? Correct.
And we have some self-contained units here, or more restrictive units. We have what we call SLA, supported learning academics, students who have cognitive issues. So they have very specialized techniques, and along with that sometimes becomes behavioral challenges as well. So you really have to have the passion and the drive for what you're doing, because it's not going to be a cakewalk in there every day.
Yeah.
And that's the reality for actually the majority of our classrooms in education right now, because we have children coming off of the pandemic who are learning social skills for the first time. You have students who are coming in with, traumatic experiences with trauma, students who have, a lot of issues going on at home, and they're coming in with baggage. So before you can even start the education process, you have to work on that piece first.
Right, that social emotional piece, yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
For sure. Yeah, there's been a lot of discussion even on this podcast about the behavioral and social emotional and trying to make sure that kids, have what they need and get the services they need and yet still be able to function. Because if you're, if things are not good all over, it's really hard for them to even focus to learn, right? So
absolutely, and that's I think one of the things that's overlooked, particularly when there's such a spotlight on schools right now, as it is, and education in general. And you always hear, we need school choice. We need school choice because schools are failing. We need to have school choice. We need to do this. We need to raise the expectations. But you really need to take a step back. And I know you've had the education background. I always take it back to Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Mm-hmm. If you don't have your basic needs met first, nothing else is going to happen. And for students who are going to bed hungry, for students who are coming to school hungry, for students whose parents are divorced, for students whose parents or families are working 2 jobs and are exhausted at the end of the day, and they really don't have the time to read with their children because we get home, we've worked 2 jobs, and now we have to do laundry, and now we have to do this, and life happens. So when you look at all of those things that children are experiencing, test scores aren't at the top of their list.
No,
and
of course not, yeah.
Then when you think of everything that is thrown at our students, the things that they're seeing on the news, the things that they're hearing from their friends, and it's a lot on those little minds who are not fully developed. It's a lot on us as adults, quite frankly. And we have experience and we have things to draw on, and we have some capability for problem solving that a lot of our students just haven't developed yet.
Yeah.
And
are you seeing any of that anxiety carrying over, like with your staff, or how are you managing? Because staff when kids are having a tough day, it can affect it can become a vicious cycle, can it not? Right. So
it's affecting anybody involved in education right now. When you have students who can't handle anything and they're saying no. We have families who call us, and not just here, even before I moved here, and I'm originally from Ohio, you have families that are calling, I don't know what to do, because they're feeling it and they're stressed and their kids are screaming. It's a lot. It's a lot on everybody right now. So there's anxiety, there's trauma. They're like, it's everywhere. We're all feeling it, and including our students.
Yeah. So what advice would you give to educators to try to mitigate some of that? What do you tell your staff?
You really have to just go back to the basics, and you have to make that connection first. Yeah. And personally, I'm a trauma and resilience practitioner of education. It's something that I have felt very, very passionate about for a long time, even before the research has caught up. It's something that I took the initiative to do and paid for myself.
Awesome.
Because if you don't have those basic needs aren't being met, and you don't have that relationship with the students, nothing else is going to happen in the classroom. Right. And that's something that's very difficult to explain, and it's particularly when your job and your performance and your salary is based on a test score. It's really hard, but I have to teach this. And one of the best pieces of advice I ever got from one of my administrators very, very early on was, nothing else is going to happen until that behavior is settled. And how are you going to address that? So if your student is coming in and they've been yelled at and they're set off and they're crying, it doesn't matter to them that you're trying to teach them how to read. They're not going to care because emotionally they're not set. And you have to go back to making that relatable and giving some type of analogy so that they can put themselves in that child's perspective, because that behavior isn't personal.
Right.
99% of the time, that behavior is not personal. It's a form of communication. They're trying to tell you, hey, I can't think about what's going on because, my dad beat up my mom last night, or, I'm really, really hungry and I don't know how to tell you I'm hungry.
Right.
And then if the student has an issue with language or they're non-communicative, then that adds a whole nother layer to it. That's the only way that they have to communicate. So if you're having a really bad day, your significant other yelled at you, you're worried about, oh my gosh, I don't know if I'm going to make the rent because my car broke down. You're not thinking about, well, I really have to meet that quota, and how am I going to meet that quota at my job? Because you have other things happening first. So the bottom line is, you've got to address that. Once that gets settled, then you can look at, okay, what are the steps we need and how to get to the next level. Yeah. But you have to look at those.
Food, shelter.
You have to look at the basic needs first.
Yeah. 100%, 1,000%. I'll tell you, as an SLP, I've been doing therapy for 31 years, but I've been doing teletherapy since 2011, so 14 years. And so many times, you get to know your children so well, and obviously in a school as well. They come in and they're off. It's obvious. It is just, I don't know how many times I've been like, nope, not doing that today. Tell me what's going on. They just, the look on their face, their body language. Sometimes it's a location. They're in a different place than they usually are. The second that they turn that camera on and they're there, I'm like, oh, what's happening today? And you just have to shove everything, all those plans that you had aside, because they're not going to learn what you wanted them to learn today. You're not going to be able to work on that R sound today if they're struggling with the dog died, or take your pick. And it's just, so we as educators, I think it's something that we just over time learn to just recognize and go, okay, yeah, we have to. And I love the fact that you're making your team so aware of all of those things, especially when you have 48% utilization. That's just a really humongous number. And it sounds like you guys are doing it with grace, which is amazing. And, kudos to you.
It's not always pretty, and it's hard. And that's, you have to just remind them, okay, yes. And one of the things that you hear a lot is, well, we shouldn't reward them for doing what they're supposed to be doing. Correct. I understand that. However, you have to look at each situation, and you really have to take a step back. And just because you are bending or whatever today and you're giving that student interventions or something that way. That doesn't mean that you're blowing everything up. You are working for that student and what they need, and you can explain that to the rest of the classroom. Hey, today is a different day. Right. This isn't how we do things, is it? No. Do we want this to happen every day? No. So, okay. So this is what we're going to do right now because we need to be safe or we need to do whatever. And then we're going to come back to this. And it doesn't happen overnight, but it does happen and it does get better. And one of our newer teachers that we came in, I'm like, I know it's tough and this is a lot, but I can tell you that it will get better. It takes how many days to start a new habit. So, and you just have to keep reinforcing it. And you cannot tell a student once and expect them to remember. Yeah. It takes a student who is quote unquote typical, neurotypical, and learns things at an average rate. It takes them 21 repetitions to learn something. For our students, and particularly ours with those profound disabilities, it takes 2,227 repetitions for them.
Wow. Yeah. And but it's amazing when they get it, though, isn't it? It's so fun when they get it.
Absolutely it is.
That's one of the biggest rewards. I love that. When the kids make progress, you just go, I'm so proud of you. And when they do something that they're expected to do and they didn't have to go through all of those other things. Yay for you. Celebrate the little wins. That's what we do, right? So
you have to. Yeah. Baby steps. And
baby steps.
It's something my husband always tells me because I've been told, you're so patient, and I don't give myself the same grace.
Right.
I'm
we're
somewhat of a perfectionist.
Critics. We are
absolutely
critics. Oh, for sure. Absolutely.
And something he's like, how do you eat an elephant, dear? How do you eat an elephant, dear? One bite at a time.
Yep. I've used that analogy myself. Absolutely. Well, this has been an incredible conversation. I always have one last question. I always ask this question of my guests. If you could miraculously solve one challenge in the school, what would you want to solve?
Just one.
Just one, yeah.
Just one. For us to be funded the same way that professional sports are.
Oh, that would be great, wouldn't it? Yes, absolutely. Every single child's special education service is funded 100%. That is it.
And not even just special education, but student resources.
I'm sorry, I focus on special education.
Well, I do too, but I don't want to be greedy because they're all our students.
They are all. Absolutely, 1,000%. I agree. Well, Suzanne, this has been a great conversation. Thank you so much. Where should people go if they want to learn more about you or your school?
I am on LinkedIn. Absolutely. Duval County Schools, DCPS is our website. I believe it's dcps.org. And is that horrible? I don't.
No, that's okay.
But I don't look at my own website there. Yes, duvalschools.org. Or you can always Google search. We can do that for pretty much everybody right now.
Yeah, right. For sure. All right. Well, thank you once again. It has been a true pleasure. Keep up the good work. You guys are doing amazing things, and I applaud you absolutely for the work that you're doing. So
thank you. This is year 27, and I get excited. I have my moments of down where I get frustrated, but something always brings me back.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Good.